Right. The time is now 6:35, and I'm calling this meeting to order. April 23rd. This is our first of 2026 Special Education Committee meeting. Good evening, everyone, and welcome and thank you for being here tonight. My name is Quentin Medziton. I am the president of CEC28 and District 75 representative, and most importantly, a proud father. On behalf of the District 28 Special Education Committee, it is truly an honor to host this space for our families and community. Tonight is about you. It's about the families navigating special education and parents advocating every day and the children who deserve not just support, but the opportunity to thrive. Let's be honest, this journey is and can feel overwhelming at all, at most times. And a lot of times it can feel unclear. And for many families, it can feel like you're expected to figure it out all on your own. But tonight, you're not alone. We brought together the phenomenal leadership from the Chancellor's Cabinet, from Central, from DOE. I'm going to have them introduce themselves because to me, they are the special education Avengers here tonight supporting all of us from special education and D75 and anyone with an IEP. They're going to provide us clarity, they're going to share updates, and most importantly, they're going to engage in real conversation with our community. This is not just about information, this is about empowerment. This is the more we understand the system, the stronger we can advocate. The stronger we advocate, the better outcomes we can create for our children. So I want to be clear about something. This conversation is not just for IEP families. This is for every family because inclusion, awareness, and understanding shape the entire school experience for all of our children. Tonight, we're going to focus on addressing real concerns that you guys have submitted through your surveys, and we're going to provide real, meaningful solutions and helping families better support their child's success from pre-K through eighth grade and transitioning beyond. So I encourage you to please be engaged, use the chat respectfully and politely. Raise your hand at the end if we have time for Q&A or submit your questions at the end because this phenomenal Avenger team of special education warriors will do their best to answer all the questions. And if we run out of time, we could always send them and get those answers later. And share your voice because your voice matters. And together we are stronger. So thank you again for being here. And let's get started. And before we start, I want to just shout out my special education committee member GK. Um, GK, if you want to just say anything, if you're available to. Oh, let me see if he's. Oh, I gotta give him permission. My bad. No problem. We'll come back. But thank you, all other council members. I see you here, and thank you, our amazing administrative assistant, for always setting this up. And please, special education. I know I keep calling you guys Avengers and Warriors. Happy Admin Day to our administrative assistant and any of you guys who are admins. But please introduce yourselves, and I turn it over to you. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Quentin, thank you so much. And thank you to the entire CEC of District 28 for all of your advocacy and support. And if we are the special education Avengers, you are the parent Avengers without a doubt. We're really happy to be here. I'm so proud of the team that's here with us tonight. My name is Suzanne Sanchez. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the Chief of Special Education for New York City Public Schools. And excited to be with you all here tonight. I'm going to just go down the line and everybody should introduce themselves. Joanna Charles, you're next.
Thank you, Suzanne, and good evening, everyone. We're so happy to be here. My name is Joanna Charles, and I'm the Chief of Staff of the Special Education Office. And I will pass it to Temi.
Good evening, everyone. So happy to be here tonight. I am honored to be the citywide CPSC chairperson, working with all 11 CPSCs, and I will happily pass the mic to Michelle Nestler.
Thanks, Temmie. Hi, I'm Michelle Netzler. I'm the Senior Executive Director of Specialized Programs and Instruction in the Special Education Office. So, some of the programs that I support, you're probably familiar with the NEST and the Horizon program, our ACES program. We're going to talk about a few of those tonight. So, I'm going to turn it over to Arwina.
Can you hear me? Oh, great. I couldn't unmute for a second. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Arwina Vallejo. I'm the Executive Director of School-Based Evaluations. And in my work, I support our IEP teams, our school psychologists and our social workers that are in our schools in District 1 through 32 and District 75. Happy to be here tonight. I have to turn it over to someone.
Andy, I think. Yeah.
Great. I'll turn it over to Andy.
Yay, I'm unmuted. Thank you for giving me the power to speak. My name is Andy Corso, she, her. I support all of our superintendents of schools, especially District 75. I'm thrilled for the opportunity to be here tonight. And thank you so much, President Mezzeton, for your work and for your leadership and for all you do.
I think I'm the last of Mohegans. I am Johanna Rodriguez. I'm the Director of Family Support. So, Quentin, you gave me life with that intro. I can't wait till we share what we have for you all. Pass it over back to Suzanne.
Great. So we're going to jump in and we're going to try to go through this PowerPoint presentation relatively quickly because we want to make sure we touch on all your questions. However, if or when we come to something in the presentation that we know is one of your questions, we'll give that a little bit more attention. So how does that work for everybody? Great. All right, so we're going to jump right in. We're going to talk a bit about special education programming, and then most or not equally important, family supports and resources. Here we are the Special Education Office, and we are within the Division of Inclusive and Accessible Learning, which is DIAL, led by Deputy Chancellor Foti. Within DIAL are several offices that work together in service of students and families. So we have District 75, which is led here by Andy Corso alongside Superintendent Dr. Keisha McCoy, the Special Education Office. Also within DIAL, the Office of Multilingual Learners, the Committees on Special Education and/or CPSC, represented by Temmie Fasoy this evening. There is an IESP unit for children with disabilities who are not in New York City public schools. And then, of course, we have an operations center that pays our bills and makes sure that we have everything we need to keep going forward every day. Within the Special Education Office, there are different groups representing different topics of work. Of interest certainly here tonight is the Office of Related Services, and I'm going to be speaking on their behalf this evening. Michelle Netzer, who's here, is representing our specialized program. Education policy, we obviously have disability, culture, and accessible learning. Family support led by Johanna, and then the Office of Supervisors of School Psychologists led by Arwina Vallejo, who will introduce herself this evening. So New York City Public Schools, special education in District 28. We are thrilled to support students preschool through grade 12, led by Superintendent Eric Blake, also Queens South High School Superintendent Josephine Van Ness, with whom we work hand in hand in tandem on a daily, sometimes more than once a day basis. The CSE that supports Community School District 28 is CSE3, and thrilled to have Temmie here to represent that group. Michelle?
Thanks, Suzanne. So we're just going to go over specialized programs in New York City public schools. And these are programs where a model and expertise around supporting students with certain disability classifications has been developed by New York City public schools. So I'm going to start with our NEST program. The NEST program is K to 12. It supports students with an educational classification of autism. There are two teachers. It is an ICT class, which means there's a special education teacher and a general education teacher. There are students learning in that classroom with and without IEPs. One of the hallmarks or the components of all specialized programs is staff receives pre-service training, ongoing training, and coaching and consultation. In the NEST program, we partner with NYU NEST Support Project to provide some of the training and consultation. Students in the NEST program follow grade level curriculum, which is tailored and met with their own individual needs. So we think about making sure that students have access to that grade level curriculum, but with the supports that autistic learners will benefit from and be successful with. In the NEST program, we have SDI, which is social development intervention, which supports social communication. Sometimes you hear folks call it pragmatic communication. But we're thinking about how students in the program are navigating the social world. The students in this program are graduating in 4 years at a 97% graduation rate. So that's super exciting. Students in the Horizon program. The Horizon program is a K to 12 program as well. It is a smaller classroom of 8 students. That classroom has a special education teacher and a paraprofessional. Again, both the paraprofessional, the special education teacher, related service providers, administrators, guidance counselors, and social workers have all receive pre-service training, and they also receive in-classroom coaching about weekly at the school. It's about every 7 to 10 days. Again, we have a social curriculum component, which is supported through the speech therapist in the Horizon classroom. And this gives students the chance to practice communication skills, but really that social world or relational aspects of social interaction. The program also uses applied behavior analysis, or ABA, to support instruction, social emotional, and skill building and behavior support. This program also has a 97% graduation rate for our students who are 12th graders. And the other program that we're going to talk a little bit about tonight is the Academic Career and Essential Skills program. This program is also K to 12, although the majority of the programs are in middle and high school. This supports students with an intellectual disability, educational classification, and the students are participating in alternate assessment. Really, the program focuses on a couple different things. Career readiness or work-based learning, hands-on experiential learning in the classroom, in the school, and in the community. And then we think about developing those essential life skills, or ADLs, activities of daily living, really thinking about how students are able to practice those. Those two things together, we think about that as communication, reciprocity in communication, organization. A lot of those skills prepare us for work readiness. And then academics aligns to grade level standards, but each is personalized for students' strengths, and it's appropriately modified so students do get the essential elements of the standards. In high school, the program is 15 students. So it's 15 to 1, one special education teacher and 15 students. In middle school, it is a 12-on-1 where we have 12 students, 1 teacher, and 1 paraprofessional. This is a lay of the land for our high schools. And folks always ask where we have high schools and how many high schools we have. So these are the districts where we have high schools across the city for NEST, Horizon, and ACES programs. And I think it's important to know that students in these programs apply through the high school admissions process. Also, middle school students use the admissions and application process. And we made the switch about 3 years ago to fully integrating our application process into the My Schools portal, where all of you who have middle schools or high schoolers have applied. And that offered a level of transparency for parents so they understood the application process because it aligns itself to the process that is happening for all other students. And this process is for students who are currently in a Next Horizon or ACES program. All right, I think I'm turning over to Johanna or Suzanne.
It's me. So I'm not going to go through the first three. The only thing I wanted to point out in what Michelle said, because in the top three is exactly what she was talking, well, top two was our autism programs and our ACEs programs. And on the next slide, next portion, you'll see where in your district we have those programs that she's just spoke about and then what areas of support. So I'm not going to explain what the aims and nests are. You did so beautifully, Michelle, in the ACEs program. In addition to those programs, we also have the Queens Transition and College Access Centers, or we call them TCACs. There's the address there, and that team supports post-secondary, so internships, transition services. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. We also have Inclusion Innovator Districts. All the sites are there where we support our students with autism, our teachers, to make sure that our learners are improving behaviorally with research aligned practices. We have our CFITs, which are literacy supports in District 28, which we have 32 schools that have CFITs. We have our Seed Academy, which I personally love, 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 where our occupational therapy and our physical therapy and our speech, all our related services we serve there. And those we have three sites
Johanna,
there. Yep.
the interpreter asked if you could slow down just a
Oh,
touch.
okay, awesome. Thank you. And then we have our preschool programs with special class, and it is a perfect segue into my team member Temi, who's gonna go explain what our preschools look like.
Thank you so much for that, Johanna. And Temi, before you go, if we could just backtrack one slide super quickly. While as a city and as a system, we certainly have more work to do around ensuring inclusion for all of our students with disabilities moving forward. There is really strong work happening in District 28. The Inclusion Innovator Program, as an example, of which there are 6 schools in District 28, is a program in partnership with the superintendent's team, where special education office staff work directly with school staff and district team to increase inclusive practices from topics like assistive technology, positive behavioral supports, navigating the classroom, instructional supports, and so on and so on. And we're really grateful for Superintendent Blake and that commitment on that partnership this year, because that is a way that as a system we can enhance and improve inclusion for all of our students. And as President Quentin said earlier, that impacts all students, not only those with disabilities. Thank you so much. Back to you, Temi.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Thank you, Prior, Johanna. And so we're going to step into the special education process overview, and we will be reviewing both preschool, which I will be going over, and then I'll be passing it to a colleague who'll be going over the school age process. But the similarities are that we do have referrals, evaluation, then the IEP meeting, and then the initiation of programs and services. And the timing for each step in this process is dependent upon when we receive parental consent and when they sign that initial consent for evaluation. So for the CPSC process, once that a referral can be put in, and that referral request can come from the families. It could be handwritten, it could be typed, it could be sent to the CPSC via email, and all CPSC offices are happy to have the families walk in and we can help them with the referral process. So for District 28, as Suzanne said earlier, that is supported by CPSC3. Their contact information is here. And if someone will happily drop that in the chat as well, for those who may be interested, as well as the address for the District 28 location. So after the referral is received, CPSC sends to the families a evaluation packet that includes a list of the evaluation sites that families can choose from, including sites at each CSC are PRAC teams. And families may select a site and schedule directly with an agency. They may also Our CPSCs also help to schedule the evaluations if needed, and evaluations are conducted in person at the child's home, school, or evaluation site, including our PRAC centers, which are located within our CPSC offices. Assessments include and may require more than one appointment, and that's the social history, which can be conducted monolingually or bilingually, psychoeducational assessment, and the physical exam, which is provided from the family's pediatrician for that child. Families should inform us if they have any other evaluations that were completed previously, because this may help in reducing the number of appointments that they have with the evaluation process. Next slide, please. And during the CPSC meeting, once we receive the evaluations that are completed, the CPSC will be sending to families a meeting they will be sending meeting information about IEP meeting. And once the evaluations are received by the CPSC, they're reviewing all the information that has been received in the midst of that. And if a student's found eligible, they will develop an individualized education program, an IEP. So at that meeting, the individuals who can participate at parents' wish I'm so sorry. I'm having a little issue with reading my screen right here. Thank you. Will be those who are knowledgeable about the child, so the parent can invite individuals from their child's school. Family can request a New York City public school parent member, and part of that meeting is also going to be the child's teacher, and the district representative for that meeting is the CPSC administrator and a representative from the evaluation team that completed the evaluations. And this could also be a PRAC team member if it was committed, the evaluations were completed by CPSC. If a child is found to, I'm sorry, can we go back one more? Thank you. If a child is found eligible for IEP and they're determined to be a preschool student with a disability, then CPSC will arrange programs and services. New York City Public Schools is required to provide services in the least restrictive environment. You will hear LRE often from CPSC teams, which means that students with disabilities are educated alongside students without disabilities to the greatest extent possible. And we have a continuum of education services that move from the least restrictive to the most restrictive. And what we see here is a listing of related services. If you look at that little chart at the bottom there, special education itinerant teacher services, what we call SEIT, special class in an integrated setting, SCIS, and then special class. And do note that we are always looking for LRE, for the least restrictive environment, but some of our students who need greater supports may be looked at for our special class environments. Next slide, please. And in the arrangement of those programs and services, if the child's IEP recommends a special education itinerant teacher, SEIT, and/or related services only, the CPSC does not arrange for placement in early childhood general education programs, but these services can be provided at all preschool or childcare settings where children are already enrolled. And if you're interested in early childhood programs, you should apply to the 3K pre-K programs. And if a child attends a 3K program, their related services and/or SEIT can be provided at the program. And we work with a concentrated team of both CPSC and our Office of Related Services to support. If a child is recommended for a special class in an integrated setting, a SCIS or a special class, the CPSC will arrange for an appropriate placement in a preschool special education program. And these classrooms are available at our pre-K centers, our district schools, and at community-based education programs that we often call 4410 programs. And transportation is available for students placed in these settings. Thank you. I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Arwina.
Great, thank you, Temi. As it relates to school-based evaluations, all of our schools have a school psychologist and a social worker that either work there 5 days a week, some days a week, and are split with other schools. In any case, if a parent would like to request an initial referral, the contact person could be the school administrator, an AP, and most certainly the school psychologist and social worker on the school-based IEP team.
Team, I'm going to pause for a second because Suzanne said we should go very fast. The interpreters are asking us to slow down.
Oh,
And so we're going to take a breath
take a little, yeah, got it. Okay, thanks, Sandy. Um, okay, so let's talk a little bit about what the role of our school-based support teams are. So our school-based support teams are called to do many things in our schools, particularly as it relates to the process of evaluations. They're called to lead, they're called to plan, they are called to review. So let's go over what that looks like. In terms of leading, let's go. Yep, thank you. In terms of leading, our school psychologists are going to review a letter of referral and really dig into what is the reason for referral. Is it based on an academic difficulty? Are we looking at a difficulty? Are we looking at a need as it relates to behavior, right? What does it say in that letter of referral? And they will then partner with both the parent, they will partner with the teacher to understand that better. They are there to determine appropriateness, right? Is this letter clear? What else do I need to know about this referral? And in that process, they will be collaborating with families, they will be collaborating with school leaders, they'll be collaborating with teachers and with providers. And then it comes time to plan, right? They need to plan their assessment. It's like a roadmap. What assessments do I need as an evaluator in order to figure out this puzzle? And they will be consulting with teachers, with providers, looking at recent classroom assessments, and they'll be informing a family of what that initial assessment plan is, any particular requests for evaluations, and then it'll be a collaborative decision making based on feedback from the parent, based on feedback from the teacher regarding what that assessment plan will look like. And then it will come time to review. The IEP team will analyze the assessments, analyze their observations. They're there to determine strengths. They're there to figure out those particular areas of need. They're there to help figure out what are those appropriate supports that will help our student and will help them thrive. And ultimately, in an IEP meeting, they will be discussing eligibility. They will be discussing how we can build on strengths and support areas of needs. And like Temi said, they will always be looking to make the most inclusive recommendations so that our students can stay in their local community schools to the greatest extent possible. All right, next slide. So I want to talk a little bit about what those assessments look like, because in the last 5 years, we've had tremendous growth in the number of assessments that are available in our schools. And that's a great thing because student learning and a student learner profile is complex. So some of the assessments that we'll be seeing our psychologists engage in are achievement testing, right? Measuring academic skills, math, reading, writing, really looking into, what are those proficiency levels? What does that look like in terms of grade level comparisons? What does that look like when we compare it to percentile ranks across thousands of students? They'll also be looking at intelligence, and that's really going to tell us how that student thinks, right? How that brain works. It helps us understand reasoning. It helps us understand memory. It helps us understand verbal skills, problem solving. And all of those things are closely related to how a student will function in particular academic areas. The one thing that I do want to point out is that like I said, in the last couple of years, we've had a tremendous growth in both training for our school psychologists and access to evaluations. They have access to evaluations that assess executive functions. They have access to assessments that will allow them to make a determination of whether a student has a specific learning disability, such as dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia. They also have access to do many types of neuropsychological assessments to support the evaluation process. So whereas maybe 5 years ago, we needed to look elsewhere to private evaluators, outside evaluators to do very comprehensive evaluations when it came to wanting to understand a student's neuropsychological processes. That is no longer. Our psychologists have all been trained citywide, CSE, and those that are in our school-based teams and are ready to conduct those evaluations and are more than trained to do that. And then you will also experience rating scales, right? These are rating scales that will allow us to figure out questions that we may have around behavior, around adaptive functioning, around daily living skills, and social emotional functioning. So all that to say that our psychologists and social workers in New York City public schools are positioned to conduct the high quality evaluations, and we should really be looking nowhere else than our clinicians for the highest level of evaluation, because when they have a referral, they can most certainly use their training to figure out and begin planning for our students. If we go to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about, thank you, how these evaluations then connect to recommendations, right? So some of the questions that we're asking ourselves is, does this student actually meet eligibility requirements? And that may or may not be the case. And we do that by reviewing all of the comprehensive evaluations that we've conducted, by exploring things like assistive technology, by exploring things like supplemental supports, exploring how accommodations might be able to support a student based on some of our learning, and then designing that specially designed instruction that we'll need in order to best reach that student. And then we'll be talking about considering access to peers without IEPs, considering what level, if any, of intensity of service a student needs. And all of those conversations will happen at IEP meeting, and they will be aligned to an understanding of that student's strengths and needs. And there are cases where students may not be eligible for special education services. And that's okay too, because the comprehensive evaluation that's been done will serve as a roadmap to support that student. All right.
That is really comprehensive, and thank you. There's a question in the chat about, which I think is a great question to answer here. During the triennial, the mandated 3-year review process, are there evaluations that are typically done, or how does the team decide what assessments will actually be done during that?
That's a great question. And I think the answer is that it depends, right? It depends on how recent, a full comprehensive evaluation was completed. It depends on the feedback that the psychologist may receive from a teacher or from a parent. We certainly don't want to have students experience more assessments than what is needed to answer our question, right? The assessment process is great. It's interesting. We find out a lot of things. There's a lot of sort of, digging and puzzle solving in that process. At the same time, it's a lot for a student to experience, right? It's one-to-one testing. It may take, 1 hour, more than 1 hour. And a student is sort of confronted with their own strengths and weaknesses as they're going to that. So all of that to say that we want to find the perfect balance of what level of evaluation do we need in order to figure out the supports that the student needs, or figure out whether the supports that the student is receiving are right. But I want to emphasize that parent feedback and that communication between a parent and a school psychologist and a teacher is critical to the process, right? So we want parents to ask questions. We want parents to be curious about the evaluation process and what that will look like, and to, openly have conversations around any particular areas that they're curious and they're wondering about impact, because that's what our team is there to support.
Thank you so much, Arlena.
Of course. All right, I'm passing it over to Johanna.
Yes, so continuing what we spoke about earlier about our transition and college access centers, or our TCAC centers, those centers support schools and students and families to transition seamlessly through adulthood. And I know that's a chock full of information, but essentially those centers are there to support you families and your student as they're transitioning into adulthood. And I'm going to drop the links that are in this slide. After I speak, they support with internships, pre-employment transition services, work, learn, and grow programs. And the newest thing, which I'm really, really excited about, next slide, Joanna, is our individualized transition consultancies, and they're by appointment. And what these are is basically those emails that I will provide in the chat and what was in our previous slide. Any family can email those emails, so you all in D28, you are covered by our Queens TCAC centers. And those of you who are not in Queens, you can also email either the general email that's there or your borough TCAC center and ask for this consultancy. And in that consultancy, it's a one-on-one meeting with a transition expert to discuss your child's future. Transition planning, what adult services if they need it, self-advocacy, college access. It is so, so amazing. We actually maxed out our latest one, and so now we're doing it by appointment only. So if you're interested in this for your child who is transitioning into adulthood, please, please, please email this general inbox, which I will provide in the chat, or your borough TCAC center as well. And it's a 30-minute in-person or virtual meeting. Next slide. And I will continue as the Director of Family Support. We really, really here at SEO, and Quentin beautifully said it earlier, it's a team effort here. And I love that you call this Avengers. It's a team effort, and you, the family, is included in that Avenger team. Your students, teachers, the related services, everyone is a part of this team. You guys are valued partners, and I say that confidently as I am one of the point people in our family support team. So in collaboration with our families, we really do encourage you to be part of the team, know who your providers are, all the things. It's a full circle. Next slide. So one of the things that we directly support families or offer families is if you need support at your child's IEP meeting, whether that's your initial, your first IEP meeting, your annual, which happens every year, or your reevaluation meeting, you can request an IEP parent member. And these parent members are fellow parents, just like you all, who have students within our system with IEPs, or if their student has graduated within the last 5 years. And how you can ask for an IEP parent member is whoever is heading the IEP meeting. So Temi spoke beautifully earlier on behalf of CSC and CPSC, that those teams, you can request it within 72 hours to CPSC team or CSC or your IEP team at your school, whoever is covering that meeting within 72 hours, which is 3 days. And someone at your school will connect you with this parent member. And the latest thing I love, 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 and I know I see some family connectors here and family leaders. You all are family leaders. You all can have this and also become one. So we really, really want more, especially if you speak another language. So if you are interested in supporting other families at AEP meetings, you can go to include.nyc.org, which I will put in the chat. And you can sign up for a training with Include NYC, who are our partners in our NYCED office, who provide these training periodically. And I will say here, the next few that are going to be offered in the spring, our D75 team is planning one in person and virtually, as well as our Bronx team. And I will drop those links so you all can register and become a parent member and support families at IEP meetings. Next slide. Our Nixa account. This is a powerful tool. It's like my favorite slide that I've been sharing all school year. If you have a Nixa account, you should see that little hand, boop. If your child has an IEP meeting, you click it, and there, if you click it, you should see all the things about your child's IEP. Thank you, Joanna. It looks just like that. Next slide. I love that slide. Once you press it, you will see this screen. It should have when your next IEP meeting is or around the date where your IEP meeting should be taking place. It has the programming that your child has, so ICT, 12 tones, all those things that we talked about earlier, and their related services, how frequently, who they're seeing. They have the name of the providers and teachers as well. So we're really excited to have this and empower families
Johanna,
with this.
just
Yeah.
slow down for the interpreter.
Oh,
I think your
sorry.
excitement here
Yeah.
is getting ahead of you.
Yeah. No problem. So once you click this and have this, I've been telling families, click it so that you know who your point people are. If you have a question about your speech goals or your child, you should know who that person is. And so this is a powerful tool that we've been uplifting a lot lately and really, really excited for you all to have this. So sign up for your Nixa account if you don't have one. Next slide. And
Johanna, I
yep.
just want to super quick, Andy, if we could go back to Nixa really quick, because we did receive some very important questions around how do I know whether or not my child's receiving their special education services? How do I know? So in a student's Nixa account, a family member can see the date of the last session that the child's therapist provided. And if there's, so that is one way that parents can ensure that their child services are continuing beyond any outreach or contact from the school community. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm thrilled to be able to share a bit more about District 75. First, I want to orient you. You can see some of our amazing students in District 75 programs here. So take a look and enjoy. These are our Stomping Eagles from the Sid Miller Academy, and just did an amazing presentation for the Brooklyn Borough president and did a fantastic step routine. I always like to personalize and show some of our amazing students. There were some great questions sent in advance related to District 75, and I'm going to take this slide to answer those questions. The first question was, oh, and Ms. Sparks, I see your hand. Was it a previous section or is it on District 75? I'm going to keep going, but I see you. The first question I have is, with the growing District 75 population, what is the DOE's long-term plan to ensure students have access to appropriate space, resources, and placements to meet their needs? I'm going to answer in 4 ways. Number one, every new construction building that we do has dedicated space, pre-planned space for District 75. That's appropriate space with the resources that our students in District 75 need. So that's strategy one. Strategy two, we project, looking at past enrollment trends, how many new classrooms will we need? And we look at two possibilities for that: expanding current District 75 schools and also opening new sites called co-locations. And Superintendent Dr. Keisha McCoy, myself, presidents of CECs like President Meziton, participate in a process where we engage local school communities to talk about, you have room. Let's make room to welcome District 75 students in your school building. The third thing that we're looking at is saying, just a second, are all of the students referred to District 75? Is District 75 the right place for them? Could some of them actually be well served in community school? We have many, many programs that are designed to support that. Our autism specialized programs, we're working with community schools to build even stronger 1211 programs to make sure that the seats and resources in District 75 are for the students who actually need that level of support and resource. Finally, and this gets to the last question that was asked, we also look at when is the student in District 75 ready to go back to a community school environment? And that's another important piece of this in terms of making sure that students who need the support of District 75 have the spaces that they need. The next question we got about District 75 is directly related to co-located buildings. So let's say, just like I talked about before, you have a community school and a District 75 program co-located. Anybody who works with neighbors, it takes work to be a good neighbor. It takes work to build a good community. And what we are setting up, especially when we're doing new sites, is having a building council that we're supporting, also with a co-location handbook that talks about how should shared space be allocated. It is not always perfect, and there is work that needs to continue to be done. And what we are very firm. Students with a District 75 recommendation are our children in our community. They are not separate, they are not apart, they are not guests, they belong. And so how do we make sure that space is reflecting that? Then this next question, also connected to my first answer. What strategies are being implemented to support the successful transition from District 75 to less restrictive environments when that is appropriate? It's not always appropriate, but when it's appropriate, how to support that. I think there are three things here that are important. Number one is family support. Many times families become very attached to their District 75 site. This is the place where they've been loved and supported and championed, and it can be hard to leave a learning community where you've received good care and education. So family engagement is important. Number two, we also have to make sure the community school is ready to receive the student. One of the things we talk about a lot in the office now is how do we make it so when a student is returning to community school, it's less like a stork dropping off a baby and more like a baby shower? How do we make sure that the community school has the resources, but also the welcoming energy for that? Finally, the third thing I want to address is the District 75 Inclusion Program, led by Michelle Netzler and her extraordinary team and Natalie Polentes. That's an explicit pathway where students actually return to community school with the support of District 75 staff. So that's another way to step back from District 75 to community school when that's appropriate. The last thing, and this kind of gets a little bit broader, but I do want to tackle it here because it's so important. What protections are in place for staff and families who may feel unsafe reporting concerns in District 75 or in special education settings? How can we make sure that they have an issue that's addressed without fear of retaliation? And that is deeply, deeply important. We want folks, the adults in our programs, to be able to express concerns. I want to offer myself as well as the special education inbox here for District 75. You could always reach out directly to me, Andy Corso. I'll put my email in. It's acorso6, and I will hold that information in confidence as I work with the superintendent of District 75 to address concerns. We also have our special education inbox led by Johanna, Brittany, and an extraordinary team, and we'll make sure to put that in as well. And those are places where staff can express, I am worried about retaliation. I am concerned about that, and we can make sure to protect and hold that information confidential. There's another powerful question around behavioral supports here, but I'm going to leave that for the end and make sure we can get to the next part of our slides. Thank you so much. We love District 75. We're actually going to be partnering with a new school in District 28 for a new site, and in collaboration with Ms. Sparks and council member's office. We'll be having an open house for preschool at that site as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Andy. And in we we often talk about how as a system, we're providing around just a bit above 90% of related services to students across New York City public schools. And that's really, really frustrating for families whose child is not receiving their services. So I want to talk a bit about that. Yes, there is an ongoing national shortage of occupational and speech therapists that every school system is facing. That being said, we will not stop or be satisfied until every student is receiving their IEP mandated services. So there's a few things that we're trying to do there. We're going to move to the next slide. And just share a bit about that. First and foremost, this school year, for the first time, New York City Public Schools has allocated funding so that occupational and physical therapists can provide an additional session if they so choose, and they're paid for that beyond what they are required to provide. So far, this to date, we've seen, and this number actually just went up as of yesterday. Right now, we're seeing 800 students are receiving their occupational therapy services, and about 115 more receiving PT who were not receiving those services before this initiative. Additionally, speech therapists can opt into the same type of program where they're paid an additional session. They're paid to provide an additional session during the school day. So there's no extra burden or responsibility for families here. And we're very grateful that we had funding allocated for these initiatives and to be able to serve more students directly in their schools. Next slide, please. Additionally, there are several loan forgiveness and incentive programs. There's a scholarship program where New York City Public Schools will pay for a young person, well, sometimes it's not a young person, for someone to go to graduate school to receive their occupational therapy, physical therapy, or speech therapy degree. And then that person comes and works for New York City Public Schools for at least 2 years, which is really exciting. And most people stay with us thereafter. There is also a loan forgiveness program where New York City Public Schools will pay someone's loans off if they work in certain districts or with underserved communities. We also have really extensive what's called fieldwork and externships where people in graduate school do their fieldwork experience with New York City Public Schools. And we have found that that's a great way to build a pipeline. A lot of them say, hey, I want to come and work for you. And since over the past 4 years, we have hired an additional 667 OTPT speech providers to support students across New York City public schools. I really want to share that we also have a weekend academy that runs 7 days a week that is open to students who are not receiving their services in their school, as well as offering makeup services over summer. And so I know there were some questions around makeup services. Those can be provided either during the school day, if there is a provider who comes to the school maybe later on in the year, and has availability in their schedule at weekend academies, and also over the summer, those services are offered to students. Thank you.
Beyond Access, which is our most proud, I think, a thing that we do at SEO. Our Beyond Access series happens periodically throughout the school year, where we address different special education services for families. And it's a live Zoom just like this that is recorded, then edited and put on our YouTube. And I'll put our YouTube link so you guys can see our previous Beyond Accesses. We have our next one next week, April 28th. And there, our partners at AFC will be talking about planning for action and preparing students and empowering families to understand your rights. So they're going to speak about what an IEP is, speak on youth voices, how, again, we're trying to get our students to have self-advocacy and advocate for themselves and their needs. And they're going to speak all on that from 7 to 8 on April 28th. And it's a virtual Zoom meeting just like this. If you cannot make it, it is recorded, edited, and put on our YouTube link, and I'll share it in the chat. Next slide. and our family resources. So, as our Chief Suzanne Sanchez mentioned, we do have our special education inbox. I am the manager of that inbox. A real person does answer those. Me and my team answer those emails. Special education at schools.nyc.gov. I did put it in the chat, and I'll provide it again. And also, speaking about family empowerment as well, we have our web link that has tons and tons and tons of resources. One of the things that we're most proud of are these 4 guides that we have also on there. One for preschool that talks all about what Temi touched briefly about and what support we provide for preschools. We have our kindergarten guide that is updated yearly, which is also on that webpage that I will provide. And the school age guide, our family special education guide, is for our K to 12 kiddos, all the supports that we provide all across citywide in our schools, and then our transition planning guide as well. So they all are offered in all 12 languages as well on our website. So if you have a family or you yourself doesn't speak English, we provide them in those languages as well. Next slide. And our special education glossary. So we've been talking a lot how we're speaking about our students and special education. And I will also provide the link. I only see the QR code here, but I'll provide the link as well. In this glossary is chock full of all the acronyms that you just heard us say tonight, CSE and BIP and IEP. What are those things? You can learn what they are. And also, we also have there are families are like, oh, in my school they call it this. So in that glossary, it's from A to Z. You can pick each one. There's a lot of definitions in there. But again, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to us. We do respond. So if you're like, I don't know what the heck this is, feel free to reach out to us. Next slide. And this, I love, love, love these guides. So, talking about that IEP meeting that I spoke to earlier about our IEP parent members, at IEP meetings, there's a lot of information coming at families, right? And you're like, I don't even know what this means. We have this on our website again, our webpage in every language for every um, point of transition. I love to say we have elementary, middle school, and high school. And in these guides, it literally guides a family on things they should be thinking about as they're preparing for an IEP meeting, what questions they may ask. They have some targeted questions if you can't really think about it at the moment. It has also lines where you could take notes and take it with you to your IEP meeting. And I've been really informing our IEP parent members to utilize this as they prepare also with families for IEP meetings. And we have it for every age group, elementary, middle school, and high school, and every language as well. And I'll provide the webpage where that lives. I love, love, love this guide for families who really want to think through and be a meaningful participant in their meeting and what questions they should ask, because I know sometimes that could be very burdensome. Next slide. And lastly, thank you. We wanted to give time for Q&A. So if we don't get to it, like Chief Sansa said, we will get back to you. But I'm going to drop this link. It is chock full of videos and questions and all the things. So thank you, thank you, thank you for having us. We're here for you guys. So I'll pass it on to Quentin or Chief Sanchez.
Yeah, super. Thank you, Johanna, and thank you to the entire special ed team here. Quentin and the rest of the CEC28 members and community, we know this was a tremendous amount of information that we've just kind of unloaded. While we're proud we got through it in the time, we recognize this was a lot of information. Please know this is a first conversation. This is not a last conversation. We are accessible via the inbox and in emails and want to be here to answer your questions. Come out to District 28. Whatever this community feels would be most helpful, that's what we want to deliver.
Phenomenal, man. Like, wow. Like I was playing the Avengers music in the background while y'all were talking because it was just like you guys were just dropping nuggets and bombs. I'm so glad this is recorded. I've been getting personal messages. I've been seeing you guys attacking the chat. So it's like every time someone asked a question, you guys are just like, we got this. And y'all are just supporting each other and supporting us. I just want to let you guys know I appreciate you. I want to give this opportunity for Vanessa Sparks, who's had her hand up. I know it hurts because she's had her hand up for a long time. Vanessa Sparks, our council member, representing Ty Hankelson, the council member. Um, how are you? You have a
I
question?
am fine. Hello, President Quentin. How are you? This was amazing. This was amazing. And I want to give a shout out to the entire New York City Public School D75 special education team. You can feel the warmth and the care just in their presentation. So I want to say thank you. And I'm so glad that Andy shouted out. Yes, I met with Andy yesterday regarding an open house for the new D75 school that will be inside of PS 80. I want to be able to connect our early childhood CBOs with information about this school, as when the children leave those schools, they will be going on to our D28 public schools. And many of them would be in need of a D75 school, preferably one in their community. So I'm looking forward to that, Quentin. You will be in the next conversation because the school is in District 28, and I would not move forward with this without having your support and input. So, lastly, I want to say that last Friday, Councilman Hankerson and myself had the opportunity to visit the Queens Transition Center for their career day, which was absolutely phenomenal, and got a great tour from their new principal. So, my question is this: I was informed that Queens Transition Center is the only standalone building of D75 of a D75 school. And with that being said, I would love to put them in touch with the school construction authority, as that building is in need of a lot of capital improvement. And so I wanted to just bring that because usually when we think of D75 schools, we're thinking about co-located schools or school buildings that have a dedicated D75 program. But this is a standalone building. And as such, it's a very old building. For those
Yeah.
of from the community, that was the old Shimer Junior High School. So the building is well over 75 years old and is in need of a lot of capital improvement. So if I can ask, I might ask us two things. On behalf of the councilman, Ty Hankerson, if we can get a copy of this presentation, and if we can talk at some point regarding looking at that school and putting them together with the school construction authority so they can go and take a look to see what the capital needs projects in that building are for our D75 scholars. And lastly, I would love to assist you in finding OT and PT students that are graduating from college that would love the opportunity to work within the New York City public school system as physical therapists and occupational therapists, as I do a lot of work in the space of historically Black colleges and universities. And many of those students that go to those schools are New York City residents. Many of them are whether occupational therapy or physical therapy or along those lines, would absolutely love the opportunity to come in and serve in the school system that they came from. So I would love an opportunity to speak with someone further about that, to put them in touch with some places that actually could assist in filling those spaces. So I thank you for this wonderful event, this presentation. Thank you.
Great to hear, Ms. Burks, as always. We love working with you. And the new principal at 752 is amazing, Ms. Asia Williams, and would love to connect you with SCA. And so we can add that to our running agenda. But love her dynamic leadership, and that is a building that needs some attention. So could not agree more.
Oh man. I just want to still give anybody else that has any question that wasn't answered the opportunity. You could still put in the chat if you can't come off camera. Um, give you guys a few, but wow. So just to confirm, you guys will be sending us your presentation deck. Appreciate that because just like Vanessa brought up, we always upload this to our website. So please just visit our website. We're going to put the recording, we're going to put the presentation deck because this is something that you might need to re-listen to a few times because I can't reiterate how they just simply explained each section like that. If I even tried, these Avengers are trained, they're amazing, they're experts, and they really provided us with so much value. um, I know GK is in India right now. It's like 4:30 a.m. So good night, GK. I understand if you gotta go. I appreciate you for showing up. He is part of our special education committee. So thank you for just supporting us. That he helped put this together. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Quentin, and thank you to the New York City Special Education team. Well done. Thank you. Have a great evening. Good night.
Good night. And one of our council members from CEC District 29 has a question, and Andy's already on it. So I appreciate that. Like you just got this. Like you guys got this. So uh, yeah, I'm gonna read her question out loud just because that might be a question that they need to see. Question from Shay is many of my parents have been asking if their child can attend a school in District 28 if there isn't a D75 school in their district that serves them. Is that possible? And
And
Andy came up with a clutch. Go
Uh,
ahead, Andy.
I gotcha. And the District 75 placement team works to place students in the closest available location. So District 28 students will who need District 75, they'll be the closest to District 28. But if we're able to serve all of them and there's a District 29 student, they would be the next closest. So that's the work that the placement team does. So it's absolutely a possibility, but it's not a guarantee. And happy to follow up if that's helpful.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm pretty sure more questions might come later, but thank you so much again for this. I just want to like share my appreciation for you guys just coming out today to do this. You explained questions that I don't even know if we had, but you guys took all the questions, you answered them. This was so phenomenal, so informational. Like this was transformative. Like in the words of the Avengers, we're gonna do whatever it takes because we're in the end game now. So this is not the end game really, but this is the beginning of the end of us being victim. So we are empowered, we are informed, and we're going to advocate for our children because advocating for our children is what we do best, parents. So again, thank you for coming here to this evening. Thank you for your partnership, your collaboration, and for your amazing, amazing presentation. Thank you, families, for joining us tonight. Thank you, CEC members. Thank you, parent leaders. And the time is 7:43. We still get to make it home if you're watching the Knicks game. But
Let's go. Let's go.
let's
Let's
go.
go.
Know it. Know it. So
We need the Knicks Avengers tonight after what
yeah,
happened the other night. All right. So we need the
listen,
Knicks Avengers tonight. Let's go.
we definitely need that because we're gonna have another presentation and do some restructuring if they don't. But
All
I'm with
right.
you there.
That's
I'm
it.
with you there. So thank you, everyone, and please do not forget anything you remembered, anything tonight. But don't worry because we are gonna forget. We're human. It will be uploaded to our website. So feel free to go back to our website, download the slides, rewatch this as many times as you can, and advocate for your children. We're District 28, the great, and we're only getting greater. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great night. Take
Thanks so
care.
much, everyone. Have a great night. Go New York. Go New York.
Let's
Go.
go.